Well, good morning. Welcome to this joint Oracle and Ndevr webinar that is unfortunately missing Oracle. As you probably know, this event hasn't gone as planned. Our initial postponement, which was due to illness, I'm now also having to pass on apologies on behalf of Oracle's Kalpesh Shah. Kalpesh unfortunately had to withdraw from today's event because he's dealing with an urgent personal matter. So with his blessing and with a bit of preparation support from him, we decided that instead of postponing this again, we're going to press on without him. So moving right along, let me introduce the lovely Anne Thiele. Anne is a senior functional consultant with Ndevr. She has nearly 4 decades of experience with JD Edwards. She didn't want me to tell you that. She is our trainer of trainers and our lead JD Edwards pre-sales specialist. Anne's going to present on behalf of Kalpesh, and then she'll switch over to her part of this morning, which was the live demonstration, where she will run through a day in the life of a project manager on a large construction site and translating that into real life, how JD Edwards can reduce your capital asset management costs and improve project control. Now, can I get the next slide, please, Anne? Thank you. For those of you who aren't familiar with Ndevr, we provide the full range of services that you might need from a JD Edwards consulting team. From technical and CNC services to functional consulting, training services, upgrades and implementations, as well as JD Edwards 9.2 code currency management, JD Edwards managed services and support. Now, if I could get the safe harbour statement. Thank you, Anne. So at this point, I'd normally hand over to Kalpesh, but because he's not here, I'm tasked with doing the safe harbour statement. So this presentation is for informational purposes only and isn't representative of material commitments from Oracle. Now, one very last thing before I hand the microphone over to Anne. If you've got any questions, please submit them through the chat window, which you should be able to see on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll address questions at the end of the webcast. So without any further rambling from me, Anne, it's over to you.
Thanks, Sasha. So a typical equipment maintenance process might look something like this. A problem is detected, or planned maintenance is due, a work order is created, you might need to check that parts are available and then allocate them to the work order. You'll also probably need to check for resource availability, assign a resource, notify the resource that they need to go and do the work, then the work needs to be done, and then once it's all completed, JDE needs to be updated to ensure that everything is recorded as it should be. Of course, through the process, all relevant people need to be notified of the situation and the progress at every step. Let's take a look and see how JD Edwards digital tools can help to streamline and automate this process. An IoT device might send a status report to JD Edwards via an orchestrator. This could happen on a scheduled or an exception basis. And then the orchestration can check the status and create an alert or a work order, or both if required. In addition, the orchestration could notify the relevant person, for example, the plant manager, that there's a work order now created. Form and grid personalization could be used to help in the managing of the work order, like assigning parts and resources to the work order. Notifications, they could be used to let the technician know that there's work to do. The technician might, again, use a personalized form or even a Cafe One screen to update JD Edwards. And that could be on an iPad or a tablet of some sort, not necessarily your standard laptop. The completion of the work order might automatically trigger another orchestration to complete the accounting. In addition, the plant manager can use standard JD Edwards maintenance roles to monitor the progress of all the work. Watch lists can alert him to anything that needs his attention. Using form and grid personalization, form extensions, and Cafe One screens, JD Edwards can be configured to show the maintenance manager everything he needs to see and only what he needs to see, none of the extra stuff that he's not interested in. The JD Edwards Orchestrator, of course, plays a big part in digital transformation in the modern JD Edwards. As I mentioned before, we can use it to automate many different aspects of the maintenance process. We can, in fact, use it to automate and streamline many areas in JD Edwards, not just the capital asset management process. JD Edwards also offers some pre-configured orchestrations. These can be used as is or modified to suit your business's specific requirements. You can find details of these orchestrations on Learn JDE. Learn JDE, by the way, is a great place to find information about JD Edwards. JD Edwards delivers a whole host of pre-configured UX1 role-based landing pages across all areas of JD Edwards. There are 6 different UX1 roles and 21 different landing pages in the capital asset management space alone, and they cover all areas, as I mentioned. The landing pages all follow this alert, analyze, and act paradigm. So if you'll notice here on the left are the alerts. They're basically your watch lists. And then in the middle is the analyze, which are your graphs that show you exactly what's going on in a graphic form. And then on the right-hand side is the springboard, which actually takes you into the actual applications. It's the act part of the page. The standard pages all follow this structure with alert, analyze, and act. But you can take any of these components and put them on your own pages, or use this page but remove perhaps one of the graphs because it's not applicable to you, and replace it with maybe one of the graphs from another page. So you can mix and match, in other words, and compile your own landing pages to suit what you need. But all the components are there. And you can add your own components if you want to as well. So, as an example, let's follow this bloke, Greg, around for a little bit and see how we can help him do his job. Greg can check his notifications on his UX1 role to see that 5 pieces of equipment are down. Or he might have set this up to email him. So as soon as the equipment goes down, he gets an email, in which case he doesn't even need to be logged into JD Edwards to be notified that there's a problem. From the notification, he can check the status of the equipment and see if any work orders have been assigned to this equipment. Now, if you look at this is using a Cafe One screen to combine the equipment master here at the top with the condition-based alerts down below, so that he has all the information he needs on one screen. He contacts the technician then, and the technician can then easily check on the location and let Greg know whether he's around, whether he can go and fix that piece, whether he's within the area or whatever. Now, any JD Edwards application is available on a tablet. Of course, they often don't render very well because of the amount of information on the traditional JD Edwards screens. But using form and grid personalization and Cafe One, you can create a version of the application that's effective on the tablet with just the information you require. Like, for instance, this one, it's just got some very basic information on the equipment on the left with a map on the right. No extra information, just what we need. So a few of the technology solutions that we use or we could use to help Greg They might inspire you. Notifications, for example, they drive awareness, so you can be notified of any task that happens within JD Edwards, any event that happens within JD Edwards, and you can be notified, as I mentioned, just on the JD Edwards screen or via email, so that you don't even have to be logged in. Cafe 1 and form personalization allows you to focus on pertinent information, get rid of all the noise around and just show what you need to see to get the job done. UX1 based roles, those landing pages help you to see the big picture, first of all, with the Analyze, help you to be alerted to any problems with the watch lists, with the Act, and help you to focus on get quickly to the applications that you need to actually do the job. And of course, mobility allows you to stay connected and reduces the paper-based processes. So if you're wandering around with a tablet rather than a clipboard, it's far more efficient and far more effective. As I've mentioned before, all JD Edwards applications are supported on the tablets, either iPad or any other tablet as well. And also, as I mentioned before, you can scale and format the application to suit the tablet and the function using form personalizations, Cafe 1, and so on. Let's go into JDE and take a quick look at some of the features I've been talking about. Okay, so the first thing you see when we get into JD Edwards is I'm on the maintenance reliability landing page. And this, as you can see, this shows you the three, the alert, analyze, and act paradigm that is typical of one of the landing pages. Here we can see the watch lists. I've got no critical equipment down at the moment, and I've got no open alerts at the moment, which is really nice to see. And in addition to that, I've got my graphs in the middle here to show me, and you might find some of them useful and you might find some of them not useful. So as I said before, you can actually reconstruct these to show what you want and perhaps bring some graphs in from another E1 page or another landing page instead of what's here, or just leave it out altogether. Let's take a look at this one, for example. Here's the alert level by equipment, and it's showing me that there's been one warning level, one warning alert on this equipment, and there have so far been 9. Hang on, how many a minute? Yes, 1 warning and 9 alarms for this equipment. So this equipment is in trouble. Hey? That's just because this is the piece of equipment that I've been playing with. And that's why there's only 1, because I've just been playing with one piece of equipment here. But the nice thing here is we can actually click on this and drill straight down in and see all the information. It takes you into the application that is being shown in the graphical form. And you can see all the information that is that surrounds this, that was used to create that graph. So here we can see all the alerts that have been opened. And now this is an example of a Cafe 1 screen again. This screen is showing the condition-based alerts here on the left. And then, which is sensitive to the row that you're on, it's showing other information. On the right here, it's showing work order revisions. Okay, and down below, it's showing some oil readings that we're using. We're in fact using the supplemental database to show these oil readings. Okay? So, and from here, you can even so you can draw down into these as well, but I'm not going to worry too much about that at the moment. So you can see we can get all the information that we need on the one single screen. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're going to look at this piece of equipment, 24900, the forklift, because that's the one that I'm playing with. And you'll notice that at the moment, this forklift is active. His equipment status is active. Okay. And I'm going to pretend that there's an IoT device on this piece of equipment, and this IoT device actually sends through, for example, the oil readings. Maybe it's reading the amount of oil, the oil level. Okay. And I'm using Postman as a pseudo IoT device. So I'm going to send through an oil level, let's say, of 2.5. And what that means, I have no idea. Anyway, we'll do, and we'll send it through on it's today the 8th? No, it's the 7th. Okay, we'll send it through on the 7th today. So that's the, I'll simply run this, and this is actually calling this orchestration here called CAM Equipment Condition Alert, okay, which we'll take a look at in a moment. In any case, it's sending through this information, and we can see the result down here. Of course, you wouldn't see that on the internet, but that's part of Postman. So send through the information, and if we take a look here, we will see that, oh, we've now got an alert here. And if I go to take a look at that alert, we see that it's raised an alert. It says, go and check the oil, please. Okay. And because of, I'll show you the orchestration, but because of the range of how low the oil was, it's automatically created the work order for us, and it has also recorded the oil reading over here that we sent through. So it's done all of that, and not only that, but what it's also done is it's said it's changed the equipment status to say that it's now down. So we have now a piece of equipment that is down. Now, this particular Cafe One screen here, there are a few things I want to just highlight on this Cafe One screen. First of all, we've got not only the work with the equipment master here and the oil readings down here, and any work orders associated with that equipment over here. We also have a link to the Google Maps. So this is showing us exactly where the piece of equipment is. We can see that at the moment, where is it? It's somewhere there, near where Sasha is, I think. Because I think Sasha's in Altona somewhere, so somewhere round about there. And so we can see where the equipment is as well. So we not only can show information from different JD Edwards screens and bring them together on one Cafe One screen, but we can have external information as well coming into this screen. So we can really get all the information that we need on one screen. Another thing that I wanted to show you here was let us go into the work orders. Let me just get mine. Oh, right. So I'll just pick up a work order here. That doesn't help me at all. I want to pick up this work order here, and I can do it. Oh, no, I'm not on the right screen, that's why. Let me go back to, but just excuse me for getting my, while I get my bearings. Let me go to work order revisions. That's where I wanted to go. Okay, so now I'm on work order revisions. Now you'll see, you know about this guy here. So you'll see here that this particular screen, please ignore the reserve by me. This particular screen is showing only the information that I want. It's because of this personal form over here. If I actually go and say no personalization, we get the information, all the information that JD Edwards allows for us to have. Okay, so we've got all this equipment master information, all the planning information, classifications, accounting, attachments. But actually, the only thing we really want to see is this information. And so we can set up a personal form showing only the information we want and no information that we don't want. Okay, so that's the power of the form personalization. And I think you must be starting to see how we can actually now manipulate the standard JD Edwards screens to give us exactly what we want, and no more and no less, and everything that we need as well. Let us go now and take a look at that orchestration that was running. So that orchestration, always timeout. So that orchestration is called CAM equipment condition alert. So we'll just grab that.
Isn't it funny how nobody ever starts talking in the background while we're doing rehearsals?
I'm very sorry about that, guys. It just so happens that the major part of the problem is just outside my office. You know, we've got a big house, but just outside my office is where the problem is. Okay, so this is the orchestration that I ran in Postman. So if you take a look here, the first thing it does is it goes and does a cross-reference. Because if you remember in Postman, I said the equipment ID is 40001, okay? And it cross-referenced that and found the equipment number 24900 in JD Edwards. Okay, so that's the first thing it did, was do a cross-reference. And then it said, okay, does this piece of equipment actually exist? If it did, and it does, okay, then what it did was it went and it ran it executed this form which records the oil reading. Again, it's recording this reading over here. Okay? And then from there, we asked another question, is the reading between, and if I take a look here, is the reading between 4.46 and 5? And if it is, then we say, well, that's quite normal, so we're quite happy to leave it at that. We've recorded the reading and we leave it at that. If it's not, then we decide, right, what do we need? Do we need an alert, or do we need a work order? Do we need someone to actually go and check it? So if it's between these ranges, then the only thing we need is to create an alert, which is simply a level 1. It's an information alert, okay? And if it's not between those ranges, then it says, right, well, in this case, what we really need to do is we need to raise a work order, which is the level 2 alert, and we need to set the equipment status to down. Remember, we set that equipment status to down. And then we also process those alerts, which is what sends the notifications. One thing I forgot to show you is in JD Edwards, I actually got a notification. In my email, I got a notification here that said, look at this, I've got an alarm, and it says that you need to check the oil. And from this notification, I've actually got a link directly into that alarm. So I can just click on the link and in it goes.
straight into the information so that I can see. I've still got it open somewhere else. Please ignore the reserved. Okay, straight in so that I can see where the information. Again, on this screen here, on this condition-based alert screen, you'll notice that I've got a personal form called CAM demo. If I go to no personalization, you'll see that the actual assigned work order is on this second tab, response details. Okay, but that doesn't suit me because really when I come in here, I want to see it here. I want to see the work order that I'm looking for. So I created a personal form and moved it from that. It's now no longer here. I've moved it to my first form. There is one other thing that I want to show you is that the actual creation of these orchestrations is very, very simple. Let's take this recording of the oil reading, for example. If I were to go into JD Edwards, and I'll just use this 1204, I'll just go straight into there, which is in which is the work with assets, and I'll call up 249. Oh no, before I do that, I'm going to click this button here, which says record a process. I start recording the process, and I now can put in my asset number. And I'll right click on the asset number, go to supplemental data. This is just where I have recorded the oil readings, and you might record them in a different place. I will then select the oil reading, and I can then add a reading down at the bottom, for example. Okay, so I'll add one for the 822 at 450, for example, and I'll save. And oh goodness. And I have a user-defined error. I don't know why. Obviously gone something wrong because I've done this before. Okay. And basically, when I've finished recording the steps, I will hit stop, give the recording a name, okay, and a description, and save it. And as soon as I save it there, it's available here for me to use as a form request within my within the orchestration. So if I were to go now to form requests, and I can find the one that I saved earlier, record oil readings, here it is. You can see, if you look carefully, you will see that it's taking you through each of the steps, work with the assets, then you click on Asset Master Revisions, and then we work with supplemental data, and then we saved it, we picked up the supplemental data we wanted, and we saved it. The last thing we do is click the OK button down here, as you can see. So it records all the steps that you need. And the nice thing about it is once we've got it there, we can actually simply go and create an orchestration from that, and you'll see what it does. It creates an orchestration for us to do that, including my inputs. So if I were to run this, let's save it first though. So if I were to run this orchestration, you put in an asset number, and I can put in the arrays. So I'm going to put in the information here and run it, and there you go. You've got your orchestration all set up. So it's as simple as that to create your orchestrations. Of course, you need to be a little bit more give it more thought process than I have done in this little demonstration, but even so, that is how this has been created. So I just want to tell you a little bit about Release 23 is coming soon. As you know, Release 22 is out now. Release 23 is on its way. Oracle Premier Support is going through to 2033 at the moment. Every year they add a year onto the Premier Support, so we keep going. We keep going very strongly. Oracle are very committed to the status to JD Edwards. We're forever adding new features, new functionality. There's a strong, robust, and transparent product roadmap. There's lots of R&D going into JD Edwards, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger and better and better. And I just wanted, on release 23, you can find everything you need to know about it on learnjde.com. But I just want to tell you one thing about it, and that is that one of the things that's coming is the self-service password reset. I think this is brilliant. I mean, it's a small thing, but I know it's going to make a big difference to our customers. No longer, when you forget your password, will you have to get hold of IT? You will be able to reset it yourself. I know everyone's going to love that. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to hand back to Sasha.
Thank you, Anne. It's amazing what people get excited about these days.
Yes.
So we're just going to wait and see what questions come through. We did have a couple come through during the webcast, but we'll just give it a bit of time for a few more. The tiny URL demos that were, there we go, thank you. tiny.url/JDE demos and the QR code, that'll take you straight to our JD Edwards demos on our YouTube channel. The other QR code that's in the middle there, that'll take you straight to learnjde.com. Of course, you can also just go learnjde.com, but if you're on your phone, it's easier to scroll. If you wanted to get your own internal team up to a level of proficiency with the Orchestrator, or if you've got your own day in the life scenario that you want to workshop with us, you're more than welcome to discuss that through with one of our consultants. Just go through info@ndevr.com.au and let us know who you are and we'll help you out. On the questions side of things, just like to go through some of those. So we've got with the Orchestrator, and you're going to get all of these. Normally Kelpish would get a couple, but you're going to get them all to yourself today. So with the Orchestrator, can you schedule activities to occur at regular intervals rather than waiting for an external trigger?
Oh, yes, absolutely you can. The Orchestrator has a built-in scheduler, and it's actually much stronger than the JD Edwards scheduler. You can schedule orchestrations to run at any time because it works. The scheduler works on a cron string, so you can schedule it to run every Tuesday at 2:30 a.m. or every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3:45 p.m. So it's got a very strong scheduler that you can schedule to run orchestrations. Absolutely.
Right. Out of the box landing pages, the question was, how can one access or deploy the page to a non-production environment as an exercise?
Now, that's a technical question, so that would have been more suited to our CNCs, but my understanding is that you load them via an ESU, the same as you would any other JD Edwards feature or function.
Okay. Can you access other features of the tablet? For example, someone was wanting to know, can you use the camera to take pictures and scan a barcode? I'm guessing they mean while they're using the JD Edwards.
Yeah. Okay, yes. So, you can certainly use on the iPad, you can use the camera. So, for example, if you want to, let's say you're looking at the piece of equipment that's gone down and you need to take a photograph of it, you want to attach it to the problem, you want to attach it to the work order. Yes, you would go into the attachments, and from there on the iPad, you have the ability either to pick a photograph from your library or take a photograph right there and then add it into attachments. As far as QR codes are concerned, I'm not so sure. I imagine it would depend on the application and whether the application is geared up to accept QR codes. But I can take a look at that one for you if you like and have a look and see what I can find on it.
Okay. One last question, I think it's here. Can we initiate orchestrations from within a JD Edwards application?
Oh, yes, absolutely you can. So part of the form extension allows you to add an orchestration onto a JD Edwards into an application, and it can be initiated from from the OK button or from any button, the existing button in the application, from when you exit a row or when you, any of the functions, anytime you click anything on the application, you can pause the initiation of an orchestration that you've defined. And then over and above that, if it doesn't suit you to do that, you can add a button and attach the association to a new button on an application. Also, on that score, you can set you can call an orchestration from an E1 page, so you don't even actually have to be in an application to call an orchestration. And then one more thing I want to tell you about that is that what JD Edwards has done in one of the more recent updates is that added something in the orchestrator called it's a service request called a logic extension. Now, the idea of the logic extension is, for those technical people on the call, the idea of the logic extension is that it allows you to do similar things as you would in a named event rule if you're developing in JD Edwards. And that logic extension, of course, it can read files, read information from files. It can update information and it can do all sorts of various logic. Okay, if then else kind of statements, and so you can build quite a lot of logic into the logic extension. At the moment, you can add the logic extension to an orchestration, and then you can call that orchestration from within an application. So you see where I'm going? You can extend you can customize your application without actually doing any customizations. So you can actually build in logic and extend the logic of the application using an orchestration with this logic extension in it. But I understand, and I'm not sure when it's coming, but Oracle have said that what they're going to do is allow us at some stage or another, not even to have to build the orchestration, but to be able to call the logic extension directly from an application, that particular request. Yeah, so there's, yes. So to answer the initial question, yes, absolutely, you can call it from within an application.
Okay. All right, thanks, Anne. We're going to leave it here for today. So just a reminder, if you do want to get your team trained on how to use the JD Edwards Orchestrator, or if you want to workshop through your own day in the life scenario, get in touch through info@ndevr.com.au. And you should go and deal with the noise outside your office.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, and apologies again for the noise.
Thank you. Bye.